Vote Busy Work Beats, a man you can trust. Is that good? Is that good enough? So as some of you may or may not know, the Beats Sandbox plugin had a quiet re-release recently on his channel. It wasn't even in the title of the video. I get the vibe they were trying to keep it low-key. Nothing really wrong with that. Anyways, I noticed quite a few people haven't re-reviewed it. I feel like if you reviewed it in its old crummy state before, you owe it to them to re-review it. At least in my opinion. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So the Sandbox plugin was a wavetable synth that came out originally on Black Friday of last year. It had one special thing about it. It had a setting called the harmony mode built right into it where you combine different chords to different keys. I and quite a few other people reviewed it, and holy shit did it have a lot of problems. I'm talking crashing, I'm talking unable to reopen projects, I'm talking no undo button, mediocre sounds, unsure of how they wanted to handle the pricing structure, among a variety of other issues. Now, as I'm using it again this time, spoiler alert, I get the feeling that Beats as well as his developer did not watch my review originally, because literally everything I said was wrong with it before is the same except for the crashing. It was quite controversial too due to the pricing structure of it being a monthly subscription, and I'm sad to say that hasn't changed, although there is a perpetual license as well now too. It's $8.08 a month if you pay for a year. You think that's funny? $8.08? It is pretty funny. Or you can pay $9.99 monthly, or you can pay $197 for a perpetual license. Normal price $300. Not sure how long that sale's going on for, but personally, don't go too quickly into buying it. Definitely watch this review first. Okay, so the good. Overall, the sounds seem a bit better than they were before. I don't have an exact comparison. I'm just going off of memory, as I don't have the old version of the plugin anymore. There are definitely still quite a few duds though within the presets. I would just say they're not all high quality. Here are some sounds I picked at random, and I'm trying to give you a frame of reference while I talk about it in the rest of this review. There's no more crashing, at least from my experience. None of the weird bugs I had before, like the project file not being able to open, but I did find some more bugs, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now, the workflow with the harmony section is not a bad idea. I definitely think there are a few flaws with it though. It can definitely be very effective in getting a chord progression down quickly, especially if you want to use one of the suggested scales and compose that way. Once you start changing out the chords is where the workflow starts to fall apart though, in my opinion. I could also see this being quite beneficial for beginners that don't know chords or scales and want to still write something coherent. I mean, it's better than using a MIDI pack. At least you can be a bit more creative with this. Although a beginner will still struggle to put together a coherent chord progression once they're swapping out the chords in here. I find scalar would be more beneficial for those sorts of people, although I don't know if the workflow is as friendly. Okay, now the bad. And believe me, I didn't want there to be a lot of bad, but there was. So one thing I noticed is it still doesn't light up the chord you have selected on the key you're pressing/altering. Something I suggested in my original review. Like I said, they didn't watch it. This is something that would be very useful too, because after you fill out all the different chords you want on all your different keys, if you decide you want to go back and change one, it'd be nice to be able to see what it is. Well, the way it is currently, when you play one of the chords, or once you have it selected, you can't tell what the chord is. The only way you can tell is by looking at the notes and analyzing it yourself. And at that point, you might as well just play the chord yourself if you know the notes. And this is something that'd be very useful too. If you're playing a minor chord, but you want a minor ninth, then you could change it out to that. But if you don't even know what the chord is to begin with, you see what I'm saying? It seems like a really fix to have it just change colors when you have it selected too. So I don't know why they didn't do that. I guess no one gave them that idea. Like I said, Kyle, I'll still beta test your plugins. You just gotta give me money. Pay me money to do it. I ain't doing this shit for free. One bug I noticed is quite often when you're playing one of the notes that triggers the chord, it doesn't play all the notes. I'll demonstrate that here really quickly. And it does it very often too. I don't know how no one picked this up in testing or while they were using it themselves. It happens all the time. Like, this isn't just a one-off bug. This is just something that happens constantly with it. Like, for instance, if I'm playing a minor ninth chord, sometimes it won't play one of the middle notes or the top note. I don't know why it does this either. Also, one problem about the workflow here is since you're binding a chord to a note and it's based off the note that you're playing, if you want to change chords, like for instance, if you want to play a C major and then a C minor, you can't do that with the way this is set up. Although you could do that with scalar. Yeah, you just can't do that here. And that's just due to the way that it's designed. Again, not really a huge problem, but just something I noticed. But yeah, that's one advantage that plugins like Scalar have over this one, other than being infinitely cheaper. There's still no export to MIDI function. I don't know why they would leave that out. It seems like something really crucial and would make this a lot more useful. Can you imagine paying monthly for a MIDI type plugin like this that doesn't let you export MIDI? Can't be me. Although, I mean, I paid this once to review it. Next problem, there's still no undo button. When I am in Ableton, I can't undo. Not only is there no undo button, but the hotkey for undo and redo do not work either. Not sure why that is. It didn't work in the other version either. The only workaround I know for this is that some DAWs have an undo feature within the VST at the top of it. I've seen that a few times in the past. Ableton does not have that. I'm aware that you could say this is an Ableton problem. I do agree with the fact that they should add this, but currently almost every single plugin has a working undo/redo button, as well as hotkeys working for it. It's just a good failsafe to have it included. If you press Ctrl Z, it just undoes the last thing in your DAW. It doesn't undo anything within the synth. Major fucking problem with a synth like this, where if you click a button to see what it does, you fucked everything up. There's a million knobs and buttons on this thing. So if you click something, you fucked it up. You can't undo it. So I don't recommend using this with Ableton. I doubt they'll ever fix this too because they don't watch my videos. They didn't watch the last one. I doubt they're going to watch this one. Next criticism. Yeah, there's a lot of criticisms in here. I really didn't want there to be honest. I kind of I was thinking like, maybe this will be good. And I gave it a chance. I did make some pretty good stuff with it, but it wasn't because of the synth. It's because I'm good. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. Like, I carried it. The synth did not carry me here. Anyways, the basses in here are a complete joke. If there are 808s, I couldn't find them. I went through like 50 of them at least, did not find a single 808. There was mostly sub basses, some of them with reverb on them. A bunch of the basses are in different octaves, and the octaves of the bass being different from each other, it's not really a huge deal, but it's kind of a problem in terms of workflow. If you're trying to like find the right bass for what you're playing, you're gonna have to constantly be changing octaves. It really kills time. Another small bug I noticed, I know they should really be paying me to beta test this because I am beta testing this after paying for it. This is some bullshit. If you're holding a key while you change the preset, it plays infinitely after that, unless you press stop or if you change the preset. And even if you play the note, it doesn't stop. So you have to, press stop in your DAW or change the preset. Another criticism I have with this is the way the website works. So first off, when you're buying it, you can't see the price until you log in or create an account. If you've already paid for it though, you cannot see the prices anymore and you cannot change your pricing structure after that. I was like, okay, let me see how much this costs for the review. I gotta tell people how much it costs. I couldn't find how much it costs. It wouldn't let me because I was already logged in and had already paid for it. So I had to make a new account and not pay for it on that one in order to check how much the monthly costs and the perpetual license costs are. I mean, not really a huge deal, but if someone wanted to upgrade, you can't do that basically. They're not letting you do that. So I guess they didn't really think this through from the customer's point of view. Back to the synth real quick. I will say this thing is capable synthesis wise. It has a lot of wavetables. While I do think the presets lack quality control, it is very capable in terms of synthesis. It's cool that it can do wavetable as well as granular. One more issue I do have with it is that there is no manual. There is no reason for this to not include a manual, especially when it costs at least $200, maybe $300, or a monthly fee. Especially when there's a lot of questionable looking buttons and knobs on here too. Here's my favorite beat I made with Sandbox. All the melody and chord sounds are from Sandbox. I couldn't find a bass I liked from this plugin for this beat, so that was from somewhere else. Okay, now we're going to talk about alternatives. First off, Phil Spicer, the instrument. Yes, that's really what it's called. It's the_instrument. So I intended actually to do a review on this and offer it as an alternative to the Sandbox plugin if it was good enough. I emailed them like months back. Never got back to me. Maybe they saw my channel. They're like, F that. This guy's just gonna shit in our plugin. He's gonna take the free license and shit in our plugin. So yeah, I never heard back from them. There's no free trial or anything, but I hear it's very similar, but even better. And it's a perpetual license, cheaper. I think it's like 100. I do feel like the best possible alternative you can do for this though is using Scalar 2 and a wavetable synth of your choice. And for me, a free one, such as Vital. So you can use Scalar. You can put whatever chords you want in the allotted chord spaces. And then you can use your keyboard to play those chords, just like you can with Sandbox. And you can route the MIDI from Scalar into a synth. And in this case here, what I'm showing, I routed it into Vital. And the Vital presets sound a lot better than these Sandbox presets. Who would have guessed? From a free synth. Wow. I'm not saying presets are always the best sounding, but they're definitely high quality. It's hard to argue that, especially in comparison to these Sandbox ones. But yeah, I definitely recommend Vital, and Scalar 2 is $49, I believe. You have a lot more options in terms of controlling the chords. It gives you suggested related chords. It has more presets, it has progressions. It's got a lot going on. You just have a lot more control, and you can also see what chord you have selected as well too, without having to go in and analyze what the notes are and try to figure out what the chord is. Like, this may seem like not that big of a deal when you're doing like a major chord or something, a basic major or minor chord. But what if you're doing like a flat sus4 with like a third inversion or something? I don't know if that's a real thing, but I'm just saying it can be pretty hard to figure out what the chord is sometimes if you have to go in and look at the notes. And if you're already doing it, if you're at that point already, then why am I using one of these plugins? Also with Scalar, you have the option to have it arpeggios with more control. You can do melodies, bass lines, strumming patterns. It's got a lot more control in terms of that. And best of all, you can drag out the MIDI afterwards. Wow. Did I also mention you can drag in a MIDI or audio file and it can detect what is going on within it as well too? Yeah. $49. Or you can pay $9.99 a month for this piece of crap. Okay, maybe it's not a piece of crap. It's one of those things where you come out with something and there's already a much better version of it in existence. You know, it's not bad. It's far from bad, I would say. But it's also way far from good. It's far from better than anything else that already exists at the moment. But yeah, I'm sorry, Sandbox, it has no use for me. Maybe there's some people out there that prefer to use it than Scalar 2 and whatever wavetable synth you want. But for me, nah. The 5 seconds I save from not having to plug Scalar 2 into a synth is not worth all the other features I lose. It's a net loss for me no matter how I look at it. Like, in some ways the synth makes some things easier, and in a lot of other ways it makes things more difficult or just not as high quality. I give Sandbox a 4 out of 10. Not really a horrible plugin, but there are definitely far better ways to execute these ideas for a lot less money. Also, I think it's far from being worth a monthly subscription price. Like, when I'm thinking about what you can get with a monthly subscription price, currently the only ones I think are valid would be Splice and then maybe Output Arcade. And that's because you get new sounds every month and they add new sounds constantly. But you'll also notice the Splice and Output Arcade sounds are a lot more high quality than what you get with Sandbox. And I'm really not trying to dog on Kyle here. Like, if it was the same quality, I would acknowledge it, but it's not. It does not have the same level of quality control. I really think in order to get it to the same level as those two companies, you would have to have a dedicated team to making synth sounds, and you would need a lot of quality control. Even if there was, I doubt it would be worth the monthly subscription price unless they could constantly add new content that would make it worth it. While it does have a lot of presets and sounds in it, are they worth it? I don't know if the quality of the sounds is quite there. Also, I haven't really seen how much they add over a monthly span. I think this thing has been out a month. I don't know how much they added in that time span, but they also apparently give you new plugins when they come out too from them. But you know, how often is that going to be? Like once a year, maybe once every 2 years. So you basically have to be subscribed when that happens. So I don't really see how that's worth the money. I mean, you might be paying like $200 before you get that plugin from them, and it might just be like a small plugin that you don't even need. But anyways, that's it for my review of Kyle Beats Sandbox plugin. I should say re-review actually. I wanted to give it a chance. I mean, I did give it a chance. I actually wanted to see it succeed, because at this point I feel like I'm coming off as a massive hater to Kyle Beats, and I think that's part of the reason he didn't watch my review last time. I think he's just like chalking it up to, oh, this guy doesn't like me, and I actually do like him. It's not that I don't like him, I just criticize the things he does. Not even his videos. I think his videos are actually pretty good. I do criticize the plugins he makes though, because they're just not quite there, in my opinion. You know, Drip's okay. This though, it's also okay. There's just a lot better things you could do, and you could spend a lot less money on those better things. For everyone who likes this video, I will give you a fully furnished mansion, as well as a cowboy hat. If you made it to the end of the video, comment Rice Krispie down below. Make sure to check out my second channel if you haven't. We upload there almost every single day too. A lot more fun type content. If you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member or joining my Patreon. We upload some exclusive content sometimes, as well as a new kit every single month at the end of the month. So you'll get drum sounds, bass sounds, whatever I decide to make that month, loops, whatever it is. See you guys next time. Thank you for watching.
Bang Incorporated.